Well,
Hi, Gary Van Miert.
hello, Chrissy Roberts.
Gary, you are the first interview I'm doing on this new idea that I had that I just kind of thought like, I just want to interview people that I know and like and that are artists that are primarily musicians, but it might go outside of that. So welcome and thank you so much for doing this today.
Well, thank you, and thank you when you needed a canary in the coal mine. Thank you for thinking of me.
You're welcome. Well, I've always liked, so just why don't we just like say a little background about how we know each other? I think the first time I met you was in downtown Jersey City, maybe at, what was it called at the time in the Heights? The bar is now called Lo-Fi, but it was called like what was it called?
Uh,
Like
it was called
the Railroad? No, I can't.
Trolley Car Bar and
Oh, the
Grill.
trolley car. Yeah. Is that the first place we met? I think it might have been, right?
I know it was some open mic somewhere. We've been rubbing elbows for years at different open mics and events, and we've shared bills together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that might have been and it's probably been like 15 years that I've known you, right? I
Mhm.
think around that. I think I might have met you. I feel like it might have been around 2008-ish, 2009-ish that I met you. So, yeah, so as you said, like we've attended a lot of open mics together. Like we're really blessed, I think, to be a part of a music community that's in the Jersey City area, Hudson County area, and just attracting a lot of different people that are super talented and just really like love writing songs and sharing them. So so at the trolley car in those days, had you started recording at that time, or were you just starting to talk to me about like when you started writing songs? Was it around that time or was it before then?
Why, I did everything totally backwards. Before I even started playing live in front of audiences, I recorded an album. I had a friend from college who was a musician, and we got together for a reunion in New Orleans, and we started talking. And I said to him, I play guitar and sing, and he said, "Well, I have a recording studio. Why don't you drop by and we'll play?" And we started doing like old blues songs and country songs. And he started hooking up microphones. And, before you know it, I had an album's worth of recordings. So I put out my first album of covers before I
Mm.
played my first live gig.
Oh,
And
that's super cool.
and then I started going to these open mics, and I met Malcolm Marsden.
Mm-hmm.
We started playing together, and the band was called the Sensational Country Blues Wonders, and
Mm.
we started out as a cover band. We did old blues, country, and gospel songs, and the writing process started, much later, because people would say to me, you should write your own songs, and a lot of people would say that to me, and I'd say something like, "Oh, there's plenty of good songs out there. I don't need to write anymore."
Mm-hmm.
But eventually I started writing them. And then the whole process accelerated when I retired and I had more time on my hands. And that's when I started writing and recording albums.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
and I've seen your
that's
band, the Sensational
easy.
Country Blues Wonders, many times. You did a lot of you got a lot of great gigs with that group, right?
Mhm.
And I think like some of the members have changed a couple times, but what was like one of your favorite gigs that you did with that band?
We played Monty Hall and we opened for Evan Dando of the Lemonheads.
Oh, cool.
And we also played in Hoboken at the big street festival. We were on the same bill with the Smithereens and Marshall Crenshaw.
Oh my gosh. I
And
don't even think I knew that. I missed that. That's
But
great.
I liked all the weird. The thing about Jersey City is they had all these years ago. They had all these kind of mom and pop venues, these makeshift venues.
Yeah.
Always enjoyed playing in Horsema Cemetery. playing at the street festivals. One time we even played inside Macy's department store in Newport Mall.
Oh, that's so cool.
We were in the men's department, and it was really weird and funny. Um,
That's
I
super
I always
neat.
liked the more unusual gigs, the things that were, outside of your traditional bars and venues.
Yeah. It's something I've just so much enjoyed being in this community in Hudson County, New Jersey. It's just like it's almost been like an incubator for me to continue writing songs and continue sharing. And most recently, as you know, like you were at my home and we had like a song circle
Mhm.
with like quite a few kindred spirits, and I definitely want to do one of those again. Just it, like I said, it's like an incubator. It's like, we all support each other. We love to hear what, like, I just get such a kick out of hearing what everyone comes up with. I just so much enjoy hearing that creative output. And of course then I also like write a lot of songs, so it's very reciprocal. So from that perspective, where do you feel like you get inspiration to write your songs?
Well, I've been a lifelong music fan. I mean, I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when I was 5 years old. And I've always been into the British bands, and then I kept tracing the music backwards. And I would listen to the Beatles, and I see that they covered three songs by Carl Perkins. So I said, let me check him out. He must be good if the Beatles did three of his songs. And then I got into Carl Perkins, and then I read that he was influenced by Hank Williams. So I kept tracing the music backwards. The Rolling Stones named themselves after a Muddy Waters song, so I started listening to Muddy Waters. He was influenced by Robert Johnson, so I started listening to Robert Johnson. They covered Bo Diddley, so I got into Bo Diddley. So it's a whole process of me of for me of finding new music or finding old music.
And like, so when you would hear those people that you liked, would you try to like sing in that style, or like learn those songs on the guitar, or was it more just appreciation at that time?
Well, it was a long process because I always thought I could never do that. I used to think uh, that these people were touched by the gods or something, but I didn't understand that they just put a lot of work in and to get as good as they were at what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing. I didn't take the traditional route. Most people my age would start off playing classic rock. I was very influenced by Elvis Presley and Hank Williams, so I started covering country and blues songs. And in the beginning, I might have sounded a little bit like other singers, but I took the time to find my own voice. And I don't think I sound like anyone else.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, so you drew from all the people that kind of inspired you, and then you kind of made it your own. So like in terms of then coming up with like your own material, do you feel like how much of your own material do you feel like comes from like real life experiences versus like your imagination, or is it like a blending of the two?
I think it would be a blending, a lot of, or if it's from real life experiences, you tend to exaggerate them for effect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's definitely a combination of the two. But there's definitely things that happen in your life that, give you that spark of inspiration to write a certain kind of song.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. And so when you're writing, what comes to you first more often? Is it more lyrics first or more music first?
I always start with the lyrics. I want to have a strong set of lyrics, and I want to tell a story. I want it to make some kind of sense. So
Mhm.
that's the framework of my songs. I build a strong set of lyrics, and that helps me with the music because when there's a certain rhythm and meter to the lyrics that will suggest the music to me. It will suggest the chord patterns.
Mhm.
So I think one, you builds on the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that too. Like, I think that my more cohesive songs start with lyrics first, because I feel like when I do, if I do music first,
Mm.
then I get like attached to certain like melodic. What I get attached to is vowel sounds following a certain melodic thing. So if I'm writing like a melody and there's I'm saying gibberish at that time because I don't have the lyrics, but I feel like it should say like and oh you blah, like something like that. And then I go to try to like write the words to match that, and it now I'm trying to like force words into a phrase where it doesn't belong. Like that's how that's how it always happens with me. So I'm also a lyrics first person,
I,
ideally, not always.
no, it's easier to make the music conform to the words than the other way around.
Yeah, I
And you can
totally
also
agree.
change the words a little bit too at that point in the process as well.
Yeah, cool. So I know you perform both as a band and you perform solo,
Mhm.
sometimes just like you and your guitar. Do you have a preference like for which one you like more?
I would rather have a band. In fact, I don't even bill myself. Well, I do bill myself as Gary Van Miert, the Psychedelic Cowboy, so people understand I'm just playing solo.
Mm-hmm.
But when I release my music, I have a band name, the
Okay.
Sensational Country Blues Wonders, because I want to have a band identity. I don't want to, be just a solo artist.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather have a band, but unfortunately, the practicality of it, people have adult responsibilities and jobs and things, and I don't I found it was better when I was doing covers. We never rehearsed very much, but the songs were 1 4 5, people could follow them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've been writing my own material, I don't feel that I don't get enough rehearsal time with other musicians, so I
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do my own songs on my own.
Mm-hmm.
If I found people that would put the time in and rehearse, I would definitely do another band for sure.
Yeah. Then it's something that I've always noticed about you that you're really good at is like the marketing part of it. Like the whole like, oh, I want to give myself a band identity, or like I'm billing myself as an individual artist. Like, um, did you study marketing to kind of get the knack of what was needed in that way, or is it just like a natural, like it just makes sense to you?
I'm kind of conceptual, like even my songs that I write, they're very conceptual. And I'm that way about I'm always a fan of band names and identities and all that. So I understood that was something that was important. And
Mm,
to create an image and entertain people. Uh,
mm,
so it kind of came naturally, and it's a learning process because we all have to do everything now. It's not
yeah,
the old days where a record company had promo people and the people that did the art for your album covers and made videos and did all the things, and you just could focus on the music. An artist today has to do everything. So I got my hands rolled up my sleeves and started learning how to do a lot of these things. And I found that there were certain things, I would, outsource because other people were better at them. But there were certain things I did well myself. I learned how to pitch the radio and I've been pretty successful with it. So, I do that myself.
yeah. That's a question I was gonna ask you, not next, but it was gonna be the one after that. So, but let's go to that now. You've had a lot of radio play around the country, right? Talk to
Right.
me about that.
Right. But there's a distinction. It's very hard. People at our level don't get into the big corporate stations.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of, and radio is changing. It's very interesting right now because in the past you had terrestrial radio. Today you have internet radio. You have everybody archives now. People who do radio shows record them and put them online. So if you get played on a show, you're gonna be saved somewhere for forever. Uh,
Yeah.
there are foreign stations, there are community stations, local stations. We have WFMU in Jersey City. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of places to pitch your music and smaller outlets that are more receptive to listening to it and playing it if they like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations on all that airplay you've gotten. And um, I'm sure that, it's just a lot of fun, right? And just to know that your music is out there.
It's thrilling to hear yourself on the radio. I still get goosebumps. I
Hmm.
never even dared fantasize about when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, who knows like how your music might resonate with someone, right? Or who it might resonate with. So it's like a great opportunity that you're having, like, to
Get
get,
some weird people messaging me on Facebook.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Um, what do you have, like, a favorite? Do you have like a story of like, oh, I loved when this song played on this station, or like, do you have a favorite, or is it just all equally fun?
It's all great, but there's certain radio programs I like. If I really like a program, I'm really proud to be played on it. And there's one that it's a syndicated show. It's called the Dr. Yeti Show, and the whole it's really fun. The hosts are a Yeti and an alien named Shorty.
Okay.
And they tell bad jokes and they play psychedelic music. And they're syndicated. They play in the UK, they play in Spain and the Pacific Northwest and somewhere else in the United States. And they also archive their shows. And they play great music. And they'll play me alongside Jimi Hendrix and some new psychedelic band.
Oh, cool.
And
So,
I'm in their rotation. So for the last 3 or 4 years, they play me like once a month. So
oh, that's awesome.
that's exciting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and so your newest direction, let's like kind of go towards like the recording kind of, like your albums and stuff. I know
Right.
your newest direction, as you mentioned, is psychedelic cowboy. So talk to me, like, how did that kind of evolve, like, as a direction, or like what inspired you to go in that direction?
Well, I've always liked psychedelic music. And when I was growing up, that was on the radio. That was on top 40 AM radio and FM radio. The Beatles were doing psychedelic music. Jimi Hendrix. I mean, you had the more obscure groups, which I found later on, like the 13th Floor Elevators. All the pop songs were psychedelic. You know, the Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermints, things like that. So I grew up with that music. And, obviously when I was a kid and I was listening to it, I wasn't taking psychedelics, but it was just great music. So at a certain point, like when I started, I was doing, blues and country. And then I started performing in local churches. And that's an interesting story. I was performing in a play. Jacques Brel is alive and well and living in Paris, and I was performing a couple of Jacques Brel songs during the production. He's someone else that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And a pastor came to the play and saw me, and he asked me to sing in church, and that led to a few years of performing. He taught me, gave me a lot of gospel songs to learn, and
Mm-hmm.
I played in church for a number of years. So that stretched my repertoire, and I added gospel songs to it as well, and I started playing them in bars and places like that.
Oh, cool.
And during COVID, I started revisiting the psychedelic mushrooms and the songs started changing.
Cool.
There was definitely an influence, and I drew back on all my favorite Beatle tracks and from that era, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And
I
and
would
like, oh, go
definitely,
ahead. I'm sorry. Go
the
ahead.
Beatles were my biggest influence, and they were very diverse. They did all genres. They did country songs. They incorporated Indian music into what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just
Yeah.
stay on style of music.
Yeah, like they have a lot of songs that have sitar on them, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
They were the first band to bring Indian Eastern influences into rock music.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's cool. So you have recorded, so since the pandemic, I think starting with the pandemic, you've recorded albums from home, correct?
Yeah, well, I would outsource the tracks. I would have musicians. It was done out of necessity during COVID, but then I liked working this way, so I continued doing it. Uh,
Okay.
I found some people in the South who, studio musicians who would record my tracks for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
record my vocals at home and have them
Mm-hmm.
mixed and mastered.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your most recent album, what is it called so that everyone knows and can go find it?
I have a copy right here. Coincidence.
Okay.
It's the Sensational Country. Can you see that? I don't.
I can see, yeah, hold it up more so that people can see the whole thing. I think even more, a little more. Yeah, there you go. I think that shows the whole thing now.
Yeah, I got a little screen here. I can't see. It's the Sensational Country Blues Wonders. If I stop moving, I'll fall from the sky. And that's the
Yeah,
cut of the album.
that's awesome. And when did that come out?
Came out about a year ago.
That's awesome.
Before
Congratulations.
that, it's interesting because the second album, which is called The Adventures of a Psychedelic Cowboy, it
Mm-hmm.
started out as a country album, and then the songs started changing. So it's like a mix. It's got country, it's got gospel, and it's got psychedelic rock.
That's awesome.
And
Where
that,
can people listen to those things?
oh, well, I'm on Spotify, Bandcamp. Anyway, where you listen to music, you'll find me. I use DistroKid, so they put it in places I don't even know.
Yeah, yeah. Like basically all the digital distribution platforms, I guess.
So and also I have some really cool animated videos on YouTube. And I also have a lot of videos. You can look at my whole history on YouTube because I used to record the shows, and I have videos of me performing from the early days. So there's a lot of content on my YouTube channel.
And is your YouTube channel just like Gary Van Miert?
Sensational Country Blues
Oh,
one.
sensational. Okay, I'm sorry, I did not know that actually. I should have. So if people go to the Sensational Country Blues Wonders on YouTube, they can see all that content. That's amazing. So out of your recent recordings, do you have a favorite song
Oh, that's hard.
or one of your favorites?
Well, the psychedelic cowboy song is the one that gets the most airplay, and it just came out, perfect for me. I couldn't have imagined it sounding better than it does. It's kind of a crapshoot. You hope you have an idea of how a song sounds in your head, and
Mhm.
when you record it, it's not necessarily going to sound the way you hear it in your head. That's not going to happen, but you want to get it as close as possible to your vision.
Right.
And
You
this
mean
one,
like production choices, like it's hard
Mhm.
to always like guide all of them because you're out because you're working with other people and there's a whole like, yeah, communicating all those elements is sometimes challenging, right?
you want to get the right feel, and that it's hard sometimes to verbalize what you want.
Mm-hmm.
My best to give the musicians an idea of exactly, like I'll send them a video if I want a song to sound like Buck Owens. I'll send them a video of a Buck Owens song and say, this is the feel I want. This is the
Oh, yeah.
vibe I want the track to have.
Yeah. Perfect. Wow. Well, I'm trying to think if I've missed talking about anything interesting for people. Is there any what do you what's coming up next for you on your creative kind of radar? Have you been continuing to write since the last album came out?
Well, Chrissy, I'm glad you asked that question.
Me too.
I just I just finished writing 10 songs for my next album.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
I finished the 10th one last week, and I've been going out and tweaking them, taking them to open mics and playing them and gauging audience reaction. And you know how it is. I don't want to immediately record them because they're going to evolve a little bit and change.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great process. Let's talk about that a little bit. So you write kind of on your own and
Yeah,
then like you write the lyrics first, then you write the music, then you play it a bit to see kind of how you feel about it. And
yeah.
then that's that next step in your process is like playing it live. And um is it both seeing how the audience reacts and how it feels to you to play it in front of them? Or is it like, and do people like, do you ask for people's comments on the song, or do you just kind of see what comes up naturally?
I scan the audience and I look at their faces because they're all going to be nice. They're not going to tell you if a song sucks. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to pat you on the back and say, "Oh, good job." But
Right.
I look at their faces. I notice, and one thing that's really cool is that I'm bringing out new songs, and I notice that people are singing along to the chorus. So I realize I got a hook there. I got something that's catchy because immediately they're singing along with it. So.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah, that's
that's my
great.
process. And then what I'll do is I'll demo them, and then I have to come up with arrangements. I have to decide what instruments I want on the tracks, what kind of a feel I want it to have.
Hmm.
So that's another part of the process. And then I start recording the tracks and the vocals, and I add harmonies to them after I've got the vocal tracks done.
Wow.
Um,
That's amazing. I mean, like you're doing a lot more like pre-production based work than I used to. Like, because I mean, I think like now I am recording my stuff at home. I'm able to produce like a singer-songwriter track, but I also do a lot of collaborating with producers if it's going to be like more of a pop track, or if I want more, like, more than I can bring to the track. Like, I don't play bass, for example. So um if I want that kind of thing. But what, I don't even know where I was going with that. I guess what I'm saying is, before I was producing anything, I wasn't good at the things that you seem to be good at, which is like, oh, I want to know what the feel of the song is going to be, and I'm going to get some references for the producers, and um I'm going to let them know what direction, what arrangement I want. Though that's really great, because that's not things those things are not, did not occur to me naturally before I was producing. And I did find like studio albums, of course, like they come out amazing, but I would a lot of times be going on the recommendation of the engineer producer that I was working with, as far as like, oh, let's bring in this kind of instrument, let's bring in this kind of instrument, without really thinking about, oh, bringing in this kind of instrument is going to bring it into this genre, or it's going to bring it into that genre. Like, and that's not what I originally thought. So it's like I was kind of going with the flow on that. And now, kind of as someone that can do like a really solid demo, and in some cases, like a finished track, if it's like a singer-songwriter track, I love the control that that's given me. But like you came to the table with that stuff. So that's amazing. And did you
well,
read books on
the
like producing to like know to come up with that stuff, or is that just from experience?
Well, I didn't come to the table with it. The first album, I was flying by the seat of my pants. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in panic mode because you're spending all this money and you want it to be good. But I did reach out to other musicians. I reached out to another musician friend of mine who had already released 6 albums, and
Mm,
got some advice from him, and I would, but as I, moved along in this process, I got more confident, and I, started being more specific about what I wanted. I realized I could be, the more specific I was, the better the result of it is going to be. So
yeah.
I started asking for a lot of crazy things, and I found the guy that actually delivered. So that was really cool.
Great.
The
Yeah.
thing that's interesting now is, and you know this, Chrissy, is that in the old days, say the Beatles wanted the string section on their track, they would bring in like a quartet, or even they would even bring in an orchestra, and that was something that was very expensive, and something that people like us couldn't do. And
Hmm.
now you have plugins for the keyboard. The keyboard player, you could add a string section. They could add
Yeah.
horns, could add anything to your tracks. So, I realized that, the only thing that's limiting me is my imagination.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Well, so how many albums do you have total now?
I have 3 albums. I have
Okay.
one EP. I did this unplugged EP.
Oh, cool.
I'm not crazy about it, but it's too much.
Cool.
I like I like having other, things covering me.
Yeah. Yeah, so three albums of original music, tons of performances under your belt, both as a solo performer and in a band. You have a whole process going in terms of recording your music that works for you. You have a next album on the horizon. You have radio play. I mean, congratulations.
Well,
You know, yeah, being an artist and in like, this time where being an artist is not always like lucrative, is not always easy. It just comes from a lot of like self work. Like it comes from like I just need to do this, you know. Um
It's a calling. And that's why our community is so tight because
yeah.
we understand each other. We all have this crazy calling to do this thing, even though you don't make any money, you probably lose money doing it.
Mhm.
And sometimes you feel like you're just, not getting anywhere with it. But it's just something we're driven to do. It's
Yeah. Well, I always think about like when I'm at a gig and playing songs and have friends around and they've shared their songs and there's like that camaraderie and that community. I always just like the idea of money being so important goes out the window for me. And like, I always just feel like the wealthiest person. Like, I feel so lucky and blessed because, to stand in front of people and share a song that you wrote and have people enjoy it and maybe resonate with it. I mean, that's just, it's magic for me. And I
The
think
other
for
fringe
you too.
benefit is that since I started playing music, I've made hundreds of friends. If
Yeah.
I didn't play music, I wouldn't have met you. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. It's like it's super wonderful to be able to connect with kindred spirits that are creative, that value creativity, that value, this crazy thing, like this crazy songwriting journey. Um, but like I said, that just I feel like we're the lucky ones for sure, that get to be on this journey.
part of it too is like watching other people evolve. Like I've been watching you evolve, and it's really cool because when I first met you, you were basically a folk singer, and
Hmm.
like genre hopping all over the place. And it's really fascinating to see how people improve and get better and diversify what they're doing.
Yeah.
And also you got to I've changed my approach. Like I was really in the beginning, I just wanted to play out live as much as I could. And
Hmm.
I kind of felt like I was beating a dead horse at some point in time. And I feel my time is better spent writing songs and recording them
Hmm.
because you're leaving
Yeah.
behind that's going to always be there.
Yeah, I do understand that. I'm I've been in that place too for like a little while now where I've just been like loving recording and writing and being like prolific and just channeling my thoughts into songs and then getting better at production and I want to continue on that road, but I am feeling kind of called to do a little more live performing. So we'll see where that takes me. But anyway, any final words of wisdom or any other stories anything that I didn't touch on that you'd like to share with people?
I don't know. I just tell I want people to listen to my music. So just Google the Sensational Country Blues Wonders. Wherever you listen to music, whatever your platform is, I'm probably there. I've got 3 albums and 1 EP, and I'm on Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, Amazon Music. I have a big presence on YouTube. And I just all I want, and you don't have to even buy my music. You can listen to it for free. Listen to my stuff because that's really what I want for people to hear what I'm doing. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And like um it just we just all have to keep like supporting each other and lifting each other up and enjoying what each other has to say through our art. That's what I think.
And this is great. I like the fact that like I've done a lot of podcasts and different things for people all over the place, and not I like having this kind of a conversation where we talk about the songwriting process because
Yeah,
I love anything regarding the creative process, and whenever there's a documentary about it, I'm there watching it. Uh,
yeah,
and I'm fascinated by it, and I love to hear about other people's creative process, how they, make songs.
yeah. Yeah, I know, because the creative process can be such a mystery, right? It's like sometimes it's like, where are these ideas coming from? You know? Like sometimes I'll be doing something totally different, like cleaning or something, and like melodies pop in my head and different like lyrical themes, and I'll just have to stop and like jot them down. Like it just seems like sometimes it comes from the ether, and we're just like opening ourselves up to
I
that
don't
creative energy coming
I don't
through.
believe that is coming from the ether, but I also feel that I think my subconscious works on stuff without my conscious knowledge because sometimes
I think so.
something comes out fully formed, just
Hmm.
like that, and I'm thinking that my subconscious must have been working on this for a while.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, Gary, thank you for meeting with me today. Everyone, please go find Sensational Country Blues Wonders on YouTube and listen to all of Gary's creative music. And this has been a blast. Thank you for joining me today, Gary.
Thank you for asking me, Chrissy. I'm always up to talk about music, that's for sure.
Very cool. And so I will catch you at the next open mic or show, or I think I will definitely see you soon. I know that for sure.
We'll have to do another songwriting thing at your place.
We do. Yes, I am going to schedule that. We're going to do another song circle for sure. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye, Gary.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know. Let's see.